got in at 2:30. But here, you're here. I'm happy to be here.
All their events. Anyway, just Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Celebration. We just had a lovely experience with our seniors in music education, presenting their capstones, recital hall, and now we're going to transition to something a little different. Alex Schweizer is a senior in music education. He will be graduating very soon. Last year, he, with the help of the Mellon Foundation, worked with me on a research project in Bali, Indonesia, which he's going to describe a little bit more. And he's presenting titled, Why Are you Waving Your Hands Like That? An analysis of musical meaning making and participation structures in a cross-cultural music learning environment. So please welcome Alex Schweizer.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming. Again, my name is Alex Schweizer, and I'm a senior music education major here at Gettysburg, currently working in my student teaching placement in the Gettysburg area school district. As Dr. Talbot said, my presentation is called Why Are You Waving Your Hands Like That? Analysis of musical meaning making in a cross-cultural learning environment. And before I begin, I'd like to, I skipped that video. Before I begin, I'd like to pose a few questions for you to ponder. So, how do we communicate ideas? How is this communication interpreted? In other words, how do we understand this communication, or that an idea is being interpreted? Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know what a person, or a teacher, some figure, was trying to communicate? How did this make you feel? And how did this impact your learning if it was in a teaching and learning situation? Reflect on those for a second. We'll come back to that. Again, this research requires quite a bit of background explanation, so as I go through all this, keep in mind I've been working with all this for over a year, and so if at any point you find yourself asking, or saying, yeah, wait, what? Feel free to ask questions and pause me, and me as much of a dialogue as possible. So, as many of you know, and some of you were there, last summer in June and July I had the incredible opportunity to travel to Bali, Indonesia with 17 other participants. Can you guys see my stand right here? Okay. Here's our crew. Over the course of 4 weeks, we rehearsed and performed in several different styles of Balinese Gamelan. Gamelan, for those of you who don't know, is an entire ensemble, or is the traditional music of Bali and of Java, two of 13 to 15,000 islands in the country of Indonesia. In the context of Balinese culture, gamelan refers to an entire ensemble of instruments and performers. Some styles are deeply spiritual, while others are purely for entertainment. But all styles bring the community together to create music. Ensembles can be as small as 2 players, such as 2 Gendera, for a more included puppet show, or as large as 60 musicians, which you'll see in a second. The exact instrumentation varies by community, and of course by style, but most ensembles consist of metallic barred instruments of various pitches, such as gongs, drums, cymbals, bronze pots, and sometimes wooden flutes called suling, and sometimes stringed instruments called rebat, and sometimes also dancers and vocalists. The list goes on and on. So Gettysburg College has our own gamelan angklung called Gita Samara, which translates to heavenly sound. And angklung is an ensemble of, with 4 metal bars, instruments with 4 metal bars that are struck by hammers called panggul, which you have seen us perform, some of you are in the ensemble. And these bars are amplified by bamboo resonators. In Bali, angklung is typically used for religious ceremonies, such as cremations. But we play in a little bit more modern style. And this style is called gam kebyar, which translates literally to lightning. Tuned in the same slendro system with an additional pitch, these 5 to 10 barred instruments are known for their extremely complex interlocking passages called kotekon, part of which you heard in our opening clip. We'll have some more clips later. Gamelan is traditionally learned by rote, which means without looking at music, and through lots and lots and lots of repetition. Though over 30 different styles of gamelan exist, we learn these styles from several different Balinese teachers in several different learning environments, primarily in the communities of Sanur, Ubud, and Karamatan. Here's a map of Bali. I'll get to this in a second. In Sanur, oh, here is Bali. Here's Indonesia, I'm sorry. Here's little Bali down here, right next to Java. It's pretty tiny, only about 60 miles wide, also looks like a chicken. We're far away. There's Bali. In Sanur, which is where we started, we flew into Denpasar. And Sanur is right on the beach, beautiful community. We learned for 2 weeks from Ikutut Gettysburg, or Pakistan, a Balinese native and teacher of gamelan at the University of Illinois, preparing our angklung ensemble for a performance at the Bali Arts Festival in Denpasar. In Ubud, we stayed with Wayan Rahman, a Balinese native and a graduate of Gettysburg College, class of 2002. And we learned a few pieces on Gam Kebyar from him and Dewa Sakura, another Balinese teacher who didn't really speak much English. While there, we also learned the Balinese dance from Wayan's wife, Ketut. Spent an afternoon learning jegod, which is an ensemble of giant bamboo instruments, which you'll see some pictures of later. We learned a kecha, which is a vocal gamelan piece. And I also took some lessons from Wayan in Geder, which is a double ensemble accompanying Wayan for the puppet show. In Karamatan, we stayed with Nirman Swadin, a Balinese native and teacher at Eastman School of Music, or conductor of the gamelan ensemble at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. There we continued learning pieces on Gam Kebyar, interacted with community, and collaborated with the Muda Mudi, a youth organization of gamelan players and dancers. I also had some rindik lessons from community members there, which is another type of gamelan. There were many other parts of the trip, and I could spend hours and hours and hours talking about it and telling all kinds of stories, but that's not why we're here. Feel free to ask me about it anytime. I became interested in research surrounding Balinese Gamelan through my participation in Gettysburg College's own Gamelan ensemble. Founded and led by Dr. Brent C. Talbot, and used as a pedagogical tool for classically trained musicians to become outsiders and novices in music learning contexts. And I have to thank Dr. Talbot for his guidance and mentorship along this past year of research, so thank you. So for his doctoral dissertation in 2010, Dr. Brent Talbot studied the interactions between Ikutut Gettysburg, same one we learned from, and the Gamelan Ekasruti Alliance, an ensemble of Western students at the Robert E. Brown Center for World Music at the University of Illinois. Then in 2013, Alice Broadway, class of 2014, expanded upon his research by studying our Gamelan ensemble's first trip to Bali. Broadway interviewed participants before, during, and after the trip with the aim of studying how students' perspectives of themselves and their learning changed over time as they experienced what it's like to be an other in a music learning environment. So Talbot's study focused on Western students at a Western conservatory being taught by a Balinese teacher. Broadway's study focused on Western students in Bali being taught by a Balinese teacher and focused on changing perspective experiences. My research draws upon both of these and expands both of these studies by focusing on a group of Western classically trained musicians, conservatory students being taught by Balinese teachers in Bali, and examines how the process of music transmission works in this context. We must also recognize the work done by Andrew Jacquin, 2009, in his analysis of participation structures with Balinese Gamelan, as well as the work done by Michael Bacan, Peter Dunbar Hall, Michael Tenzer, and Lisa Gold in their in-depth studies of Gamelan music and music practices. So, why am I doing this? In the words of Clements and Klinger in 2010, classrooms and schools are complex social, intellectual, and physical environments where the average teacher makes more than 1,000 interactions a day with different levels and nuances of meaning. So this research deconstructed the process of meaning making in a cross-cultural music learning context in Bali in order to promote more equitable and inclusive spaces for music learning and teaching. So my research questions for this project were, how is reading co-constructed among students and teachers in a cross-cultural music learning environment? And what are the various components of this music making process? Throughout this project, I used, this is an example of Jegod, the bamboo gamelan. It's a lot of fun to play. Throughout this project, I used grounded theory method, grounded theory method consists of systematic yet flexible guidelines for collecting and analyzing qualitative data to construct theories grounded in the data themselves. In the words of Sharma's 2014, so from 2006, depending on which edition you're looking at. Grounded theory begins with inductive data, invokes iterative strategies of going back and forth between data and analysis, uses comparative methods, and keeps you interactive and involved with your data and emerging analysis. For data collection, while on the trip, I video recorded almost every rehearsal and performance, which amounted to over 50 hours of video footage. Conducted 15 interviews with student participants on the trip, as well as a few of our Balinese teachers, and reflected on our experiences every day in a daily journal entry. It's important to note that most of the students on the first half of the trip, and all of the students in the second half of the trip, were enrolled in Dr. Talbot's Education 298 course, titled Language, Culture, Immigration, and Music, which looked at, and the goal of this course was really to be exploring and reflecting on what it's like to be an other in a music learning environment. I mention this because, in other words, myself and all the participants who were interviewed, including our Balinese teachers, were interested in and thinking about how people learn music, either through their personal backgrounds working with students or through class discussions about the learning practices present in Balinese Gamelan. And of course, after I returned home, I transcribed my interviews, coded for emergent themes, and sorted through all of my video data. Here are my interview questions. I asked different questions for Gamelan students, participants on the trip. How has your experience in Bali affected your perception of Gamelan? Can you describe one or more moments where you felt like you really understood what whoever the teacher in that environment was trying to convey, and conversely, where you couldn't? What did you do in these situations? I selected some of these for each of the participants. I didn't ask everyone all of them. And then for Gamelan teachers, I asked a different round of questions. How do you teach people Gamelan? How did you learn to play Gamelan? Is there a strategy used in certain situations? What other parts of your life help you teach Gamelan when you're not playing it? And how does the type of music you play reflect who you are as a person? Of course, why did you choose to become a teacher and continue to teach? With all that in mind, here's where it gets fun. Here's a look at the conceptual model we constructed to help understand some of these concepts, drawing upon the work of Lumiere 2005, 2013, Scullin 2009, G 2015, Gumpers 1972 and 2001, Talbot 2010, 2013, and 2016, Levenweiler 1991, Jacquemus 2007, 2009, Meditai 2012, 2013, 2015, Gold 2005, Tenzer 2011, Bakan 1999, and Dunbar Hall 2005. Components of the meaning-making process consist of mediational means, the environment, and social actors. However, Sego 2002 reminds us that transmission systems are socially constituted and culturally specific. So in this study, these components were circulated by Balinese discourses of music transmission, American discourses of music transmission, and cross-cultural music transmission. Now hang on one second. What do I mean by any of that? So, I'd like to return to my questions that I opened my presentation with, and give a little bit more background of what I mean in these terms. How do we communicate musical ideas? How do we know how to interpret and make meaning of these forms of communication? And how is meaning interpreted or established? So when we, as humans, as social actors, engage in communication, we use both verbal and non-verbal methods of communication. As music teachers, we regularly employ symbols, cues, gestures, and etc., often unique to the field of American music education. For example, if I say, here's do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, sol, la, sol, do. Exactly. Most of you in the room knew exactly what I was trying to get at. Raise your hand if you didn't know. Great, thank you. How did that make you feel?
Sad.
Sad. So, you didn't know something. Imagine you're 6 in an elementary school classroom, and then someone comes up to you and goes, and expects you to do something. Instantly, as a little 6-year-old, your value of your opinion of music and music education is deteriorated from, and you lose interest because you have no idea of what just happened, etc. So this is why I'm doing all this. For example, if I say here's do and make these Kerwin hand signs and conducting gestures, you all probably know what I'm intending to do. So this process of discerning meaning from language is what Lumiere 2005 defines as meaning making, a dialogical process in which in which discourses are identified and mutually conceptualized through sociocultural means. For most students and teachers, the dialogical process of music transmission, defined by ethnomusicologists as the culture-specific means by which musical ideas are passed from one another, this occurs rather subconsciously, since we have all grown up or lived for a substantial period of time in that particular society, and have been acculturated into understanding these forms of communication. In other words, we all grew up, we all are in a conservatory, we are used to these Hermann hand signs and understand what they mean. However, in an environment where the majority of these forms of communication or language are not familiar or not established, how can students learn? I've used the term discourse quite a bit, and researchers define discourse in several different ways, but for this study, I refer to it simply as language in use. Discursive practices, or the utilization of discourse, are not limited to verbal communication. Rather, in this expanded view of language, this includes cultural objects, such as gestures, cues, eye gaze, non-linguistic symbol systems, tools, instruments, and technologies, as well as concepts such as distinctive ways of thinking, feeling, valuing, and believing. Those are G2005's words. In this study, it's also assumed that music and musical ideas are included in the list of discursive practices. As Agawa 2009 says, music is a sequence of articulated sounds that communicates a human idea. Therefore, from these discursive practices, meaning can be derived from these discursive practices in the environments that they are indicated in. Such signs, such as cues, eye gaze, gestures, etc., other symbols, are referred to by Skolin and Blumer as semiotics, and then those are the ones I chose to represent. According to Blumer, 2005, every utterance displays a wide variety of meaningful features, which each in isolation are pretty meaningless, but become meaningful precisely through their simultaneous occurrence in the utterance. So these authors go on to describe semiotics, which are signs, symbols, gestures, and cues. And when meaning is derived from these symbols, they're known as indexicalities. Lastly, in terms of terms, objects used in communication to assist communication are known as mediational means, or in other words, objects used to help mediate the process of discerning meaning transmission. Let's pause again and take another step back, and I'll use this Calvin and Hobbes comment to help clarify. So Calvin and Hobbes are the two social actors in this situation, in this environment. And they're communicating with what seems to be the socioculturally acceptable discourses in place. Now, Calvin decides to mix things up and throw in a new idea. He wants to communicate that idea to Hobbes. I like to verb words. Now, Hobbes does not understand this initial communication and communicates his own confusion by assuming by acquiring a certain facial expression, a semiotic, which becomes an indexicality as Calvin correctly interprets this sign of confusion, recognizes this action, and explains in more detail in the second box. By offering this explanation, his original meaning was recognized and understood by Hobbes, who then confirms the addendum to the traditional discourses in place by offering the punchline. Maybe we can eventually make language a complete impediment to understanding. Which we, as readers, then interpret as a joke, or at least as sarcasm, by recognizing the positionality of the social actors in the environment, walking away but still talking, signaling that the comic is over, that this example is done, and we're supposed to find humor in that, that the author and illustrator drew for us. So I hope that I didn't just ruin Calvin and Hobbes for you. But I just used this comic and this PowerPoint as a mediational means for communicating my ideas from discourse of this presentation to you. So, a few other factors to consider in the meaning-making process. Identity, in the words of Talbot 2016, identity is important to consider within the process of meaning-making because whenever people enter into social action, they bring along their own experiences, knowledge, skills, and all of which condition and constrain what they can and cannot do in social action. So the ability to bring and express this knowledge, prior knowledge, experiences, etc., what they bring to the environment, can be known as, or is labeled as agency. I like Ingrid Munson's definition of agency. She calls it the She defines it as the socio-culturally mediated decision to act or not to act. So yeah, when I refer to act, I mean physical movements, gestures, conversations, thoughts, etc. So in other words, the individual has the ability to choose whether or not to act on a particular stimulus. And this decision is mediated by norms set in place by the environment an individual is in and the society from which they are familiar. I also like Barrett 2011's definition of agency. He describes it as the intentionality of an individual in a particular circumstance, which implies a degree to which an individual is aware of their own agency in a given situation, therefore further mediating their decision to respond in a certain way. In a discursive scenario, an individual has the agency to interpret this dialogue in a number of ways. Therefore, in the words of Topic 2016, when we speak and communicate in classrooms, we draw upon language and music to enact specific social activities and social identities within a specific time, circumstance, and place, making conscious or subconscious decisions about what to include and not to include based on complex relationships of power. Now, power dynamics and motivation are also factors to consider in the meaning-making process. However, I've chosen not to analyze my data through those lenses, perhaps for my own sanity. So let's return to this model that I presented at the beginning. Again, Sego 2002 reminds us that music transmission systems are socially constituted, there we go, and culturally specific. Take a look at this conceptual model. First, let's start with just the environment, with the space, place, context, structure, setting that we're in. Then add in the social actors, or people, figures involved in this environment, and take into account their identity, their agency, and the power dynamics at play. When individuals interact, they use the tools of language, semiotics, gestures, symbols, signs, cues, etc., to communicate. These tools are used to mediate the meaning of communication and are referred to as mediational means. When mediational means are used by social actors in the environment, when mediational means are used by social actors in environments, each use of language points to new forms of meaning, forming new indexicalities. And how this meaning is interpreted is different to everyone and is unique to every context. For example, the conducting gesture or the Kermit hand signs that I did in America are probably well interpreted and easily understood by this audience. However, if I picked up on Google and started cueing, I probably would have no idea what I was doing. In this study, these components were circulated by our American discourses of music transmission. So the culturally associated norms of discourses that we brought as conservatory trained musicians. Balinese discourses of music transmission. In other words, the discourses in place in that Balinese environment that they were familiar with. And in a few instances, individuals such as Pakas Now, who teaches at the University of Illinois and in Bali, Neo Mansbottom, who teaches at Eastman and in Bali, Dr. Talbot, who has spent a significant amount of time in both countries, as well as Juan, who grew up in Bali and went to Gettysburg College. I label these as cross-cultural discourses of music transmission, as individuals who are familiar with both. The Calvin and Hobbes comic analysis was a warm-up for analyzing this video clip using the same conceptual model. This clip was filmed in Karami time, our fourth week of our trip. And the teacher in this situation is Neil. He's there in the white shirt in the middle. He is teaching the Mudabadi, the community of youth organization, and he's teaching them a piece that will accompany a dance that we learned in Wood from Kentucky. So observe the discourses of music transmission in place in this environment, and reflect on how Neomon is using mediational means to assist in the meaning-making process. Here we go. he had his pangul that was showing the rhythm of the reon, or the da-da-dun-da-dun, and he was using the pangul as a mediational means to communicate what was going through his head to his players to translate to that rhythm. Just a side note, they learned this piece in 20 minutes. Really cool. Because through the Balinese discourses of music transmission, they are familiar with, they grew up listening to this music and probably knew it before they even sat down. So, let's do another one. This is us. One final example before we get to the results. This is us in Wood, where we're learning Gong Kebyar, so here's Gong Kebyar instruments, from Dewa. And keep in mind, Dewa doesn't speak a whole lot of English. Here in this clip, this is the residence of Wine Rockman, beautiful residence. We stayed here for a week and rehearsed on Wasilan every day. So we're learning, this is day 1, maybe day 2 of Gong Kebyar. And what's about to happen is we're putting our Kotek out together. So for example, I think myself and Carl are playing one part that connects here, and Brittany and Logan are playing another part, and that's about to interlock. And Dave was trying to communicate how that happens. So, it worked. Eventually. Eventually, it took us a while. I edited the clip because there was about a half hour in between those tracks where I finally played that. However, what did you see in that situation? Yeah?
Because we're sat diagonally, Jay was helping me, but Logan had to watch from behind to figure out what her part was.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? What tools did Dewa use to communicate his ideas to us?
Modeling. He modeled on the other side of the instrument so that she could see exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep, he modeled, he played her notes, but he also sang my notes so we could all hear how they blocked together. And then he had me play my notes, and I think both of them played your notes, so that we could all hear together. And then those in the back, again, sort of had to copy off of us, so that's a challenge of that learning environment. I'll get into that later. So, hope we're all on the same page. We good? Cool. My results yielded several pertinent findings, and I would like to share 4 of them with you today. The first is in regard to establishing meaning. Here is one video clip from my Gong Kebyar rehearsal. This is a few days later in Wood, in the residence of Wine Rockman. And we had just learned this style of gamelan. This is our 4th day on it. Within this environment, there are 3 teachers present. Day was right here on drum, Dr. Talbot's right here on ugal, and Wine's out of the frame, but he was also helping. It's important to note as well that in gamelan music, cues are given from the ugal player, the leader of the ensemble. So cues were established through the ugal and also through the drum. So Dewa and Dr. Talbot are leading both verbally in helping us and non-verbally in teaching, but also through our rehearsal, they're giving us cues through their instruments. So, in this particular clip, one student is, I'm going to play it, and the audio is not that great, but we'll discuss what happens. It got a little better. if you heard, if anything, you heard the word slow part being said a couple times. Wyan said it down here. They said slow part. What happened in this clip was a student was confused about what just happened in music. A cue given. We all were confused, and we stopped and asked, what just happened? Are we going to repeat this another time? This cue, the semiotic, was not interpreted, did not form the correct indexicality. So what happened was, Demo said, oh, we're at the slow part. Wyan said, oh, we're at the slow part. The clip goes on, a few of us are all talking amongst ourselves, and we said, oh, we're in the slow part. And this clip is will last another 5 minutes. Later, about 5 minutes later, we all realized we're talking about the word slow part to refer to completely different slow parts, which is why we were confused. So, thank you. The slow part was an index that was interpreted differently by these participants. So, establishing meaning is my first finding. This video clip and this quote here, when groups of people interpret the signals differently, the entire ensemble doesn't quite do the same thing. When we're changing tempos, it's like soft means slow, and so that's confusing. I interpret this as affirming that semiotics are in fact used in the rehearsal process, and forming those indexicalities shows the meaning of the semiotics. Now, in order for music transmission to occur, discursive meaning must be constructed from these semiotics in order for ideas to be communicated. This construction can take many forms and is unique to every context. However, not establishing meaning can lead to miscommunication or misinterpretation of communication, which can draw away from the musical experience. For example, we wasted about 10 minutes of time trying to figure out what we were doing, versus had we explicitly stated, oh, this means that. We might have done that a little bit more efficiently. The second finding pertains to forming connections. These two quotes from student participants, because obviously it's not my culture, but I identify with music. I enjoy the music, and I feel a sense of accomplishment when I succeed. And before going to Bali, I never felt like I connected to anything. So I interpreted this as students must feel connected to music, to each other, the environment around them, to their teacher, to their peers, etc. And students enjoy feeling successful. So, informing these connections can help us as teachers set up our students for success. The third finding is simple. Every student learns differently. The first quote is from a student. I discovered that as a music educator, I really need to be a leader. If I don't know it, I can fully understand that I can't expect my students to know it. And the second quote was from mine, actually right there in the frame. Being a teacher, you also learn a lot from your students. Not everyone has the same way of learning, so you have to adapt yourself to that. So of course, everyone learns differently, and it's important for teachers to recognize this and cater to the needs of their students, so that we can scaffold and facilitate knowledge from which the students can grow and learn and become successful. The fourth finding is something that we're still expanding and working on. This is regard to participation within ensembles. It is here that I draw upon the work of Chacun's 2007, 2009, Bakan, and then Wenger, etc. I must also mention that Dr. Talbot and I are expanding this part of our research to present the May Day Colloquium in June. So if you're around, you should come to that and check it out. In the words of Joe Kuhn's 2009, participation structures are mediational means themselves that allow students to augment their learning. So had this student from the video not asked about the part and just carried on in confusion, it was like that many other students would have also just followed suit and done the same. Followed along with what they thought was right, not fully understanding what was going on in the rehearsal. So moving back to a Western context, how can we measure student or individual student learning if students can blend in so easily in ensembles? So the following quotes emphasize the importance of this question. The way we were set up, I could see everyone in front of me. I was not the person who had to learn first, so I could learn at almost any time at my leisure. And people in the back are watching the people in front of me. Another student said, my meeting was a disaster. I just kind of was watching everyone else do it, and I didn't play in the performance, I just faked it. Another student said, I don't feel completely independent. Like if everyone else went away, and you just said, play this part, I don't think that I could. I would struggle to perform on my own without others. Think of a music context that you're more familiar with. How many times have your second or third clarinet players faked their way through the rehearsal, just fingering their way along? How can we tell if our bass section is actually singing or not just going? How can we tell? One of my best, I said a personal example, and does it really matter? How can we measure individual student learning? Students can blend in so easily in ensemble setting. Does it really matter if it's their experience? That's valued. One of my best friends from high school couldn't play a note on the tenor sax, but boasted that he was the best tenor sax holder in the band because he really loved being there. So all things considered, how can we set our students up for success? I offer one additional thought that is unique to this context. There's a concept in Bali called Maguru Panggul, which literally translates to mallet as a teacher. I'll let this quote from Wild, one of our teachers, just speak for itself. This concept in Balinese music called Maguru Panggul. Maguru means learning. Guru means teaching. So Maguru means learning, Panggul means mallet. So it translates to learning from the mallet, or mallet as a teacher. So that means we spend a lot of time in the learning and teaching process because of the social aspect of it. You know, like in the West, you don't need to learn as a group as much. You do it individually. During that process of socializing, you know the characters of different individuals. In order to create a good group, you need to spend some amount of time together, because you need to understand your peers' feeling and the characters. Once you reach a certain point, there's a small cue, somebody trying to pull the music back, and then we feel it. So it's a constant interaction, and it's going on where you reach certain levels. And that's the climax, the beauty of playing Gamelan. Coming full circle, all of this research is pointless if I don't apply it to something, and if I don't share it with others. So it's great that I've reflected on all this, but how has that impacted my teaching? There's me in my band room with my kids. I'm going like this. What does that mean? Well, I thought, hey, let's grow this phrase, right? Look at this kid right here. He's scratching his head. He's clearly not on the same page. Yeah. He's clearly not on the same page. So, in my own teaching, I've been reflecting on bringing this own research into practice, reflecting for the last year on these things I've talked about. How can I be as clear as possible in my goals, my expectations, and my feedback to my kiddos? How can I say, look, I would like you to grow the phrase here, and get them to understand that I'm showing that through this gesture? How can I provide accurate and efficient feedback in an ensemble setting, in a visual setting, so they know what they need to do and how they can be successful? I recognize that, again, I use this as an example. One student may interpret this as grow the phrase, this index, but another student may think, I don't know, I need to breathe, or have a different interpretation of it. So I need to recognize that every interaction that I make can be interpreted differently by everyone, or by anyone. How do I know if students are on board? If they're not, very clearly I didn't see this guy scratching his head. So I didn't know that he wasn't on board until later I talked to him and found out that he had no idea what was going on in rehearsal. And what if they're not? He still liked to be there, so he was okay with that. Now obviously I'd like to provide what I can for him. And of course, every student is valued in a learning environment. I didn't have to go all the way around the world to figure that out, but I did, and I now empathize and recognize that every student learns differently, and empathize what my experience of learning a completely new ensemble in a completely foreign place. I can connect with a student who is very lost and is confused with what they're doing, and I know what that's like. Go to the level on that. How can this help other teachers? Helpful as well. So I've come up with, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit. Classrooms and schools, again, in the words of Clemens that I opened up with, classrooms and schools are complex social, intellectual, and physical environments where the average teacher makes more than 1,000 interactions a day, all with different levels and nuances of meaning. So the goal of many educational organizations is to promote lifelong music making. So I've created some questions below that address this. How does your teaching environment, in our case it's a classroom, in our case in Bali it was a one-to-one, etc. How does this environment affect the learning environment of your students? What can you do or what do you bring to the environment? What do your students bring to the environment? And how can drawing upon these qualities help to foster their growth and set them up for success? And, while maximizing the amount of music being done in the classroom. And last but not least, how can we create lifelong learners and lifelong appreciators of music? So there were many, those are questions that are open to the floor if anyone has discussion for that. If not, I can talk a little bit about future research, because there were many advantages exploring the process of meaning making in the cross-cultural context of Bali. However, I'd like to argue that all music learning environments are cross-cultural environments, because all of us come from different experiences and bring different things to the table. So, one does not need to travel all the way around the world, or leave the country even, to engage in this pedagogy. Future research would explore the discourses that circulate through ensemble settings within the US. Our goal, I like this picture a lot, our goal is to raise the bar for music education, thanks Temples, and to reform anything that's in place that does not adequately meet the needs of our students or set them up for success. Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, feedback?
So, as someone who's going to be a new teacher,
Yes.
in his first job in the fall, what's the first thing you're going to do from what you learned in this research as you meet your new students?
So the most important thing to do with students is to form relationships and connections with them right away. If you are not on the same page as your students and you're just some other person in the room, there's no way that learning process can happen. So establishing connections and establishing relationships right away is the first thing that I'll do. And from there, I can figure out how the culture of the environment and help form our own culture.
And one would assume that you have different techniques to use for different age groups or different
Of
settings.
Of course. It's important to recognize that everything I did here, all these analyses is unique to this context, and it's unique to every context. So in an elementary setting, there's a whole realm of discourses that are in place as well, that are different from a high school ensemble setting, a high school sectional setting, an individual based, etc. There's so many different. Yeah.
How would you, for example, with showing gestures and expecting a result, how would you balance reinforcing it until people catch on and just flat out saying, this is what this means, and what is the line you draw between?
Right, so again, each meaning making process is unique to every context. So once we form those connections with our students, we can figure out if we need to be more explicit and state over and over again, or if after a while we can just say, hey, this means this. Or if right off the bat, we can try it, and if they understand, great. If not, we may need to go into more detail. So it really depends on every context.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Appreciate your great research. In this room, in a couple of minutes, the Music for Social Change / Secondary Methods is going to be presenting on protest music. Stick around for that.